Hendrik Ewerlin loves to build secure software and empower people to do so. He strongly believes in the power of threat modeling. He provides threat modeling training and helps software vendors who are new to threat modeling and want to improve the security of their systems. Before devoting his whole career to building secure software, he worked as a dev and made full-stack medical image viewer applications with high security demands. Hendrik joins us to introduce a project he's working on called the threat modeling of threat modeling. He has applied the threat modeling process to the discipline of threat modeling and draws some entertaining conclusions. We hope you enjoy this conversation with Hendrik Ewerlin.
Keep security top of mind with continuous application security training for your developers. Security Journey offers bite-sized lessons with hands-on interactive training for all roles in the SDLC. Give your admins the ability to use pre-built or custom training paths with easy-to-use tracking and reporting. Visit securityjourney.com to see our solution today.
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of the Application Security Podcast. My name is Chris Romeo. I am the CEO of Davici and also co-host of said podcast. Excited to be joined by my co-host for seems like decades, but maybe we haven't been at it that long. We've been at it almost a decade, but more about that in just a second. But Robert, great to have you with us here again as well.
Hey, Chris. Yes, absolutely great to be here. Robert Hurlbut. I'm a principal application security architect as well as threat modeling lead at Acquia.
And we hit a momentous occasion here. We just happened to, I got an email from our podcast hosting provider who told us that we just crossed our 250th episode.
That's
which
fantastic.
Seems like when we started this thing back in 2016, did not think we would continue on. I knew it was going to be fun, and I knew we were going to have fun making it, but I never dreamed we'd still be going strong at 250 episodes. So, Robert, here's to another 250. Let's see if we can get to 500. That's our next goal along the way. So we're joined today by Hendrik Ewerlin, who is going to talk about a topic that Robert and I just happen to love. But first, Hendrik, you must tell us your security origin story. How did you get into this wild, wacky, fun, exciting adventure called application security?
So, hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. My story with security started quite early. I developed software ever since I was a child, and one early project was a community website with private messaging, and I learned PHP and SQL, and also got across SQL injection quite early. And this was the first time when it absolutely blew my mind, and I was like, oh my God, this is so impactful. We should better not screw up security. So I started this journey quite early, and then I studied at the university and got my first job as a software developer in medical imaging. And again, I see this is so impactful, so highly valuable, sensitive data. And also availability is a huge topic. So I was happy to contribute in the security group and get things better and better. And then I really wanted to improve and studied IT security networks and systems at the Ruhr University of Bochum. This is in Germany, Western Germany. And now I work as a cybersecurity architect in said company. And I'm starting to also offer threat modeling as a service, so to say, and get people familiar with it. So, yeah.
Nice. So how old were you when you built that community website?
Oh,
I'm just curious.
This was probably when I was 14 years old or something.
Okay.
14.
So parents
15.
out there, when your kids say they want to get into tech,
Yeah.
Let them build something when they're in their teens. Why not? Who knows what they might create the next big thing in the startup world before they even turn 18.
Yeah. Yes. So this is my motivation, basically.
Excellent. So, Hendrik, we're talking about threat modeling today. As Chris mentioned, this is a topic near and dear to our hearts. So, in your opinion and your thoughts on this, what makes threat modeling a success?
Yes, so I have a simple definition of secure. Secure is, from my perspective, being protected from danger. So this is very close to having threats mitigated. So, okay. And so you can easily see this is very close to Adam Shostak's question 2 and 3. What can go wrong? What are we going to do about it? So basically, that definition, you can't help but think about. You absolutely need threat modeling, and but there's a lot of things that can go wrong when we look at the 4 questions. Of course, you first have to know what you're working on. You have to attach it to the process. And then really think about what can go wrong, what are we going to do about it. And even before that, you have to get this whole thing started. So obviously we see this is complicated thing to do, maybe, with lots of different possibilities, and lots of things can go wrong, and you should do something about it. And this is the meta approach to we threat modeling. So
yeah, we want to get into that. We want to understand some of your motivation behind this idea of, because we think about threat modeling as this process that we go through when we are analyzing something, normally something that we're building, trying to figure out what are the security and privacy challenges. But you took it a step further. Yeah. And so you decided to do a threat model of threat modeling. Yes, which is very meta, which I know is a word from a few years ago, but I'm going to, you used it in your document as well. But why? Why threat modeling? Okay, we have quite some journey with threat modeling. So discovered it years ago. I can't tell when exactly. And I just thought, wow, this is so awesome. We must use this. And meanwhile, we had an external consulting bringing in some of this thing. And we really started to get this going, but we improved over time and we made some mistakes. So it's not that easy. So in some parts, so you really have to iterate, get better, find out how to do things, reach a certain maturity, and this is where we went. And we also asked ourselves the questions: okay, what can make this a success? And we better think about it in a systematic way. And this started the threat modeling here, and I now provide it as something that I can publish. And so is the goal a different perspective? So yeah, okay. Is the goal of this exercise to put together a guide to help people build better threat modeling programs? Is the goal to help me have a list of things to watch out for, things that could go wrong? Like what's the ultimate goal? What's the ultimate thing that you want people to do after reading this document? Yeah, it's probably some kind of list. Or you might have encountered this, and so these are some ideas to solve it. So basically, another idea to think about it is some problem solution mapping. But I like threats mitigations better because we can apply the same likelihood impact thing we know already. So yeah, so it's basically it's designed to help me learn from your experience. Yes, and it's about succeeding at building a threat modeling program. Okay, so it's about the program. Okay, so it's about
okay.
how to. It's really is ultimately a guide to help me build a successful threat modeling program based on your experience, but using the threat and mitigation approach that we all love to apply to things that other people build.
And my idea is also to include the famous varied viewpoints and ask other people what they think. So this will improve it even further.
So what is your approach to threat modeling and threat modeling programs?
Okay. So this is about success of a process. So it's a question, what are the threats? And we can borrow from usability. Usability has some definition. Basically, it's about making people succeed about what they try to accomplish with something you offer. So this is usability. And it has these effectiveness, efficiency, satisfaction. So we want people to get the job done. We want good quality, low cost, and we want satisfaction. So they should like it. And we can think about this and go through the phases and then come up with all sorts of threats and then try to figure out how you should solve them. And also add lots of inspiration from online. And so I try to make it so that everyone can relate. And it's not so much only about what we experience. Okay.
Yeah, I did notice that you took various kind of sources from, added some different things that other people had said and whatnot throughout the document. So when I think about your approach then and kind of your methodology, so what I'm seeing is, so you use the 4 phases of threat modeling. Kind of what are the typical activities in that phase? What's the threat and what's the mitigation between those? And so you made reference to, phases 1 to 4 are Adam's 4 questions.
Yes.
But you introduced this idea of phase 0. How do we threat model?
Yeah.
So
okay.
Tell us about this phase 0.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine you have a company that's it's totally new to threat modeling. They don't know probably about it. So they first have to figure out it exists. They totally need it. Why do they totally need it? And they have to get this whole thing started somehow. And this is what I learned in my early days. So I was so excited and I was like, try it. Here's the 4 question. And not quite took off. So what I learned is people need some actionable advice. They need, you have to threat model in these occasions, and this is how you do it, and this is how we write things down. And you don't want to think about this when you threat model. So this distracts when you figure this out when you threat model. So you need a paved road, and so you're ready to go. And of course, there's maturity levels. So it's a difference if you do something and create some security issues, or if you have a mature security process and then program, really figure out how you integrate this everywhere. And yeah.
So phase 0 then is how do we threat model? And it's capturing from one organization's perspective how the things that are how they're going to accomplish this. Is that the point of the how do we threat model, or am I missing the point somehow?
Yes, probably. Yeah, so to say.
Okay. All right. So should we add Adam to the call right now and get his opinion on you adding a question to his 4-question framework?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We don't have Adam waiting behind the curtain over here.
The 5-question framework.
Hendrik has the 5 questions. Hendrik is famous for the 5-question framework, which does have an include statement at the top. It's include bracket the Adam _showstack _ 4questions.h with another greater than sign.
Is some of the phase 0, how do we threat model a bit of also, that convincing and
definitely,
and getting on the same plane. So
yes,
I know one of the challenges that I'm sure many threat modelers who've been doing this for a while face is that we already know threat modeling, but you're talking to people who don't typically. And how do you convince them? How do you get them to where we're on the same page so that when you hit the 4-question framework, it's not they're still back. Why are we doing this again? What's this all about? So is that a bit of that as well about,
yes.
what? Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
people have to get to know threat modeling. They have to get really excited about it, and we need it. And also some legal pressure helps here and there. And we need management buy-in and all that stuff. So we really have to figure out how to get this going.
Okay.
And,
So I'm going to explore the diagram. I'm in threat modeling mode. We're going to explore the document here a little bit. I just want to kind of scroll through it and get your takes on some of these things, Hendrik.
Yeah.
So
okay, cool.
I'm in the first section, 0, how do we threat model?
Yeah.
And so so I'm looking at the first threat you have here. Develop software without threat modeling / the scary consequences of not applying threat modeling may serve as motivation.
Yeah.
So you're describing that. So the threat is that somebody developed software without threat modeling, right?
That's, if you think about some kind of attack tree, this is just one thing. Okay, they don't use threat modeling. So what is the impact? What's the consequence? And I talk about 3 things here. I call it blindness, insecurity, and actual damage. So what does it mean? Blindness, if you say security is being protected from danger, so how would you know if you are secure, if you are not threat modeling? So there's some alternatives, obviously. So we have some gut feelings, known security issues, incidents reported, or last pen tests or something. But it's far inferior than showing, okay, we have this methodology. Look, this is a document. It's up to date. This is how it's integrated in our process. And most importantly, we implemented the mitigations. So this is how you can really tell you're not blind, you're not insecure. And of course, the ultimate goal is to prevent actual damage. So, yeah. So this is like kind of my take on motivation, but in this threat mitigation framing. So, yeah.
And I like how you described each of the mitigations here too. So threat model and know the security of your system was one for the blindness. Threat model, implement mitigations and secure the system for the insecurity. And then threat model as early as possible. Sounds like something from the threat modeling manifesto. I think that sounds familiar, which I know you reference that as a source as well, which we love. We love the fact that you use that as a source to populate some of the things that you had here.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are there some other things that you discovered as you were working on just doing this study and writing this document?
Yes. So we have to focus a little bit more. So by the time this gets published, I will be able to also publish the document. So, but we probably refocus on some of the things. So, yeah. So really in the first phase, I think the most important thing is about, not threat modeling. So we need to know what are the consequences. So this serves as some motivation. Why do we need it? We have to have good, compelling material that gets people excited about this. And then there's also the question about an actionable process. So I think there's 2 traps. One trap is a perfect process trap. So people think, we need to figure out how this works and don't get things going. And the mitigation is obviously an experiment. Also think about this like a little bit like version none. 1 is better than version none. So rather start, improve, and also over some threat assessment has some nice maturity levels. So you can use it as some plan for, okay, we do some best effort thing first, and then we improve. And later on, we have this also awesome threat modeling program. Yes, and the other trap is not having something actionable, probably. So I would suggest really thinking about, okay, what will people do? We had good success with also having checklists and stuff. So, yeah.
For those following along in the document too, that's when you have the ability to consume the document yourself. Hendrik just made some references from design threat modeling process, under the kind of level 0, just if you're following along.
Yes.
With the document. So one of the things, Hendrik, that I noticed about the document is really just the depth of it. You've put a lot of thought and a lot of experience into the document, and I think there's really something for everybody. There's multiple things for everybody who's trying to do a threat modeling program. I'd love to just highlight a few more and get your thoughts specifically. I know people can go dive into the depth of the document, but let's just highlight a couple of things. And so I noticed under your how do we threat model, you had a section under the 0 phase here of train and launch a threat modeling program. And so Robert and I are both threat modeling educators. We'd love to teach people about it. So what is what if you've got a couple of different threats here, walk us through some of these threats and mitigations from a training and launching the program.
Okay. So first, obviously, there's lack of training. So thinking people can just start it out of the box. So it's better when they are educated. So also training can be too theoretical. So this is where your approach kicks in, to not talk too much about threat modeling, but rather get people going. The famous 30-minute rule.
I don't know about famous.
And also,
I hope it becomes famous someday.
Yeah. And we also had good experience with this. So I got to train 50 people lately on threat modeling. And we have a very practical approach and a scenario that is together with a scenario which is known in our domain. So it's clear that it somehow relates to what we really do.
Okay.
And this turned out to be very helpful. And also to get people motivated so they really see, security is being protected from danger and reduce blindness. And we want to reduce blindness and really get things mitigated. So yes, this is some of the training aspects.
Yeah, and I noticed you had one. I'm gonna move on to phase 1 because I like one of the conclusions you drew here. Under catch up on threat models for existing products, threat modeling a giant is definitely a big threat that a lot of people suffer with. And I love how you put that threat. I've never seen it described like that, threat modeling a giant, but I will probably use that in the future, and I will quote you 2 times.
Okay. Yeah. We have to put giant in quotes. So why is this? So people often think, oh, this product is so big. Depends on how your actually state of security really is. But my experience is that people sometimes make it worse than it actually is. So to say, how big is this really, and how can we catch up? So one approach is really to embrace incremental threat modeling. So what you said, so it has 2 directions, threat modeling the existing and threat modeling the new. And threat modeling the giant is about threat modeling the existing. So there's some success factors how to make this work, in my opinion. So powerful set of people, management support, appreciate what already exists. So, and also this encouraging language. So not to say, oh, this is such a big thing, we can never do it. Rather start and then divide and conquer, choose a level of abstraction that works. Prioritize and see what works best. And these are some of the ideas how to make this a success. So.
Yeah, and I love where you went with that. One of our friends of the show, Dustin Lair, who does a lot of work with security champions, uses that analogy all the time. Like, don't set the stage negatively for people when it comes to communicating about something. Don't be like, and he always does it in regards to when you get to the end of a presentation and nobody has any questions. Like, don't say, well, you're a quiet group today, because that sets the group up to be a quiet group. Like, you're telling them, I'm prescribing to you to be a quiet group. So I love how you went there with language. Like, don't make people think this is impossible. Don't be like, oh, well, there's, I, as the threat modeling leader, this is such a hard task. There's no way we could possibly threat model the whole thing. Oh, well, everybody on the line's going, why'd you invite me to this meeting then, if we can't achieve the goal that you had for us? So I love that that's where you went, though, from the language perspective.
So, this is really about cutting, focusing, doing things that matter at first. And encouraging language. So there's even worse words. So like a big ball of matter. So something I've read online.
Did you say a big ball of meta?
Talk about the thing like this.
Big ball of meta.
Meta.
So let's see.
And I think,
how about...
So the bottom line is really to get people excited about a future and really to take this thing from both sides. So you need to threat model new stuff, but also catch up. So,
Yeah, and I saw the next section you had threat model new developments.
And this is obviously about the continuous threat modeling mantra, threat model every story. So at least consider if it has some security impacts. So, and then I think there's some challenges or threats. Depends on your process. So if you really get this attached, so one pattern would be, we will threat model this later, or another pattern would be mitigation depth. So, we can add the security later, and later equals never. So you really have to think about, when you design programs, what's your opinion about it? Do you want to schedule things for later so your development doesn't get blocked, or will you follow it's not done until it's secure? So these are some ideas.
And I love
everyone has to find their own opinion.
I love you've embedded just a tiny bit of snark into your descriptions here, just enough to make people like me smile. So you wrote mitigation debt / security later, and later equals never anti-pattern. So there's just that's normally what the problem is, though, right? Like, hey, we'll do this later, which means we're never going to do that. That's just the reality of it, right? So companies need to have this figured out. So how much insecurity are we going to accept, or will we not ship insecurity? So, and there's some answers. Depends on what you're building. So, okay. A lot of depth here. I'm just scanning through the document, looking for other things and so folks are going to have to go read this, because we really do. You really have written a 27-page document right now is what this work is. And so there's just a lot of depth that Hendrik has put into this. And we can't cover even 1% of the depth in this document in this conversation. But really, that wasn't our intention. Our intention was to introduce this document to the community, and then others can go read it, can give you feedback, can figure out things they can take away. Yeah,
so I could use some more varied viewpoints. So I'm very excited to learn what threats others experience, or these mitigations are also just suggestions. So you will have to figure out for your own if this applies or not, or
very cool.
what you're going to do about it. So maybe you can talk a bit about blindness. So
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think blindness is the most important thing in threat discovery. So do we have blind spots? Do we have blind areas? How will we discover threats?
So yeah, we've seen many examples of the depth of what this document contains. We just flashed through, this section that had the different threats in regards to discovering threats under the what can go wrong section. But there's just a lot of depth here, and so the call to action is to go take a look at this project that Hendrick's put together, read it, consider it, offer feedback on it. So that's kind of our key takeaway and our call to action for this conversation. But we cannot end an episode without Robert's now famous section called the lightning round. Robert.
All right. All right. 3 questions. First one is, what's your most controversial opinion on application security, and why do you hold that view?
Okay, so probably the opinion is you can basically threat model everything. So it doesn't matter if it's a product, process. When you discover this mindset, we're talking about danger as possibility of damage occurring, and you can just apply this to everything. Think about likelihood impact, try reducing things. So this is some general problems solution approach, so to say. So my opinion is we can just connect all these domains and threat model everything. So This would be some suggestion.
Okay. So question 2 is, what would it say if you could display a single message on a billboard at the RSA or Black Hat conference?
Okay, this would probably be go threat model. How else would you tell if your system is secure?
Perfect.
I like the simple version of that. Just put "Go Threat Model" right on the billboard.
Just do it. Yeah,
I might put that on a T-shirt. I'll have to get Hendrik. I'll have to give you some credit for that again. I'll have to put "Go Threat Model" on my T-shirt.
Okay.
Hendrik.
I would like to wear this as well. So we could.
There you go.
We could add a star, and on the back, it could say, "How else would you tell if the system is secure?"
There you go.
That would definitely work.
Yeah. Okay, and the third question is, what's your top book recommendation, and why do you find it valuable?
Okay, there's a book series from Austin Kleon. It's about creative work in general. And they are so approachable, nice pictures, great wisdom, and they're called Steal Like an Artist. It's about remixing ideas, keep going, and show your work. So these are really it's great advice for any kind of creator. So also very valuable for people working in development or security.
Very cool.
Nice. No, that's really cool. I'm going to look those up because I'm always on the hunt for books outside of the security realm that help us to be better at what we do. So, Hendrik, thank you for sharing this project with us, for educating us on it. And congratulations on reaching the release of what we'll call the 1.0 version of it.
Yay.
I know I'm going to dive into it deeper and give you some more detailed feedback on it. And I'd encourage other people to do that as well.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Once again, congratulations on being able to release it. And thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
At the application
I was so excited to be your guest. So
we were glad to have you.
Likewise.
And we look forward to seeing all the cool things you create in the future beyond this first document.